The divisiveness didn't set in until...
Do you think this divisiveness has always been here like this?
No, that's been a construct that's been developed over the last few generations, maybe two to three generations. I think, well, especially in Washington, because Washington is one of those tests where the majority of the state is very conservative because of farming and such, but the two population centers, being Seattle, being the big city, and then Olympia being the capital, are extremely liberal. Okay, the origin story.
So we're at the space, which
is the space
where Chris and Jocelyn are in Portland, and their magical space to help people deal with issues, face issues, love, meditate, do your mission, and help everyone while you're doing it. You guys explain it so much more beautifully than I do, but we're here to talk about not just joy and getting along, but our differences, right? So Clay and I are very different. I know you guys didn't know that. And everyone asks us everywhere we go, how does this work?
First thing they ask is, seriously? You and her?
That's not true. They're teasing you, Clay.
But are they?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
So, and you guys...
We're different.
We're different too.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I identified that when you guys got married. But you guys, so we've talked about this. Chris and I are from Dexter, Missouri, a very small town. Jocelyn, Clayton, you guys are from the West Coast.
That's right.
Portland
but
and
I
Seattle.
come
Tupac,
from...
what?
That's right. West Side. I come from a very small town.
Yeah, Jocelyn comes from the Bay Area.
Not a small
really,
town.
yeah.
But I've noticed, like a lot of my friends from the West Coast were exposed to more things than I was, because it was pretty sheltered in our town. I felt like it was sheltered. Did you, Chris?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, when I went out into the world, at first I went to Mobile, Alabama, and then San Diego, and then it went everywhere. But I wasn't exposed to all of that. I was very sheltered. I didn't understand that. Like, I felt like if people told you something, they were going to do it. I didn't understand any kind of, besides like National Geographic and like reading Animal Planet or like all of the traditional things I was allowed to read, I didn't really understand like how the world was. Like, if you would have told me like, what's the strip bar, I would have been like, I don't know what that is. Do you know what I mean? It really took me years just to really identify. And now I look back and I was in situations like that and I didn't even know what they were. Do you know what I mean? Because we were so sheltered that, and maybe that was good, the concept of just accepting everyone in a small town is kind of there. Do you know what I mean? But yet, if you don't know everything else that's out there, when you see something else, you're not sure how to interpret it. How were you raised, Jocelyn?
You know, I was raised by two people, multi-generations on the East Coast. So it was an interesting kind of amalgamation of, my dad was raised in Pennsylvania and my mother was raised in New Jersey. And so there was there's this, this country is such a fascinating country because there's just so many cultures, within the confines of this, this large country, but they each have their own distinct qualities. And I think that the East Coast, I went to undergrad out there and got to experience it firsthand in my 20s. And there's deeper roots and there's more tradition and more history. And there's something very grounded about that. And then the West Coast, there's just this this essence of anything's possible, and there's just this there's more innovation. There's more I don't know. It's just a totally different energy. But the South, I had never had any exposure to the southern part of the country
until Chris.
Until we met. And
That's it was a difference.
It was part of the thing that was like, I had never met like a gentleman. I had never, he would open doors for me. on our first date, he kissed me on the cheek.
Yeah.
And so that sort of quality was like very compelling to me because it was not something that I'd ever seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, because I wasn't even allowed to go on a date unless they opened the door. My dad would stay outside. And I know he did it for my sister too, but we weren't allowed, they had to open our door. And I remember one of my first dates, my dad was like, "Son, do you see that shotgun in the corner?" And he said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Remember that when you're on a date with my daughter." And another thing our dad did that was very interesting is he gave him money for the date and said, "My daughter will never owe you anything." And so he did things that I look back and I was like, wow, that was great, but maybe he should have taught me they owe me something. That they should have paid for it.
What's funny on the flip side of that, I remember multiple times standing at the door when you were like go out on a date.
You used to try to watch us if someone kissed us, Chris.
Well, mom would say, "See, watch how they treat your sister, and think about that when you're with someone, how you would want to treat your sister." So it was like I remember them like really. It wasn't just like, do this because this makes you good. It was like this is how you treat someone when you care about them, and maybe you just think of one of your sisters because I idolize both of you. So it was like that. This is how you would want to treat them.
Yeah, that's great.
But also in terms of cultural differences, like my mother came from a Protestant family. My father is Jewish, and per 23andMe, 100% Ashkenazi Jew.
Which he was
much
not happy
to
about.
his dismay.
Really?
Something else in there.
Something else. But he's like very pure. He's very pure.
But he did not marry a Jewish woman, and that's a lineage, right? Or no?
Right. I mean, technically,
Married a shiksa.
technically, I'm not Jewish per those.
Is that a real? Is that how?
Certain.
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But culturally, and he's East Coast Jew, right? Very
Right.
direct.
Yeah.
No bullshit, to the point. And so that was one thing that was really interesting for me, coming in to like the first time I was in Dexter, where you're from, was culturally, it was, you come in hot, right? You come in with a lot of questions, you're curious, lots of eye contact.
You came in hot.
I came in hot.
Most people from the West Coast are going to come in hot, though. He came on hot. Do you know what I mean? I
Right,
remember
but I did it.
meeting
There was
you. Mom was probably like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I mean, he didn't give me the code of conduct book manual, So culturally, we're very, very different roots in terms of how we show up and really modus operandi and in some ways worldview, you know?
Yeah, I think my parents, though, I ask a lot of questions. I think Chris did too, a lot. But the West Coast is different. You're not as worried about offending someone. East Coast too. You're just straightforward. Like for whatever reason, I do really well with that personality that's just straight on.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah.
The older I've gotten, the more it's hard for me when someone's hiding how they're feeling or thinking, I'd rather them just tell me. I don't have time to worry about like, they have this joke in the South, "Isn't that nice?" which really means
I've told her that
F you,
joke.
basically. So in the South, we are
Bless your
taught,
heart.
"Bless your heart, isn't that nice?" But it really means I don't like you, and not always, right? But you're taught I can just tell you as a female, and I don't mean this negatively. This is going to come across very negative, but your opinion is different. I believed, and I don't think my parents taught me that. I don't know where I got this, but like I wasn't really supposed to talk until men talked first and they had an opinion, and then if they looked at me or asked me, I could answer. If they didn't, I wouldn't. And I carried that. It was really good for me though, now that I look back at my career, because I would go into any situation and listen and learn and not talk. I'm not like that as much anymore, but it's helped me. Like even, how you take out of your background, you can resent something and then later you realize, wait a minute, that was probably good for me. That was part of my journey. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Part of my path.
Sure.
And so many times it's helped me I was taught not to cry a lot, right? And I learned not to cry a lot. And you pointed out I've cried more this visit, and you guys have probably seen me cry in a long time. But I did cry alone a lot when I was little and growing up. I just didn't allow other people to see it. And now I feel like if I'm part of a community where people are understanding and accepting, I can cry. And I feel like if they don't accept me crying, then they're just, I'm not mad. It's just that we maybe aren't on the same journey. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because all these rules that you were brought up with, I'm sure, Jocelyn, if your family was from the East Coast with different thought processes, you have all these rules. I'm not sure Clay had all those rules. Did you?
Morgan says I was raised by wolves.
She's trying to get you
He's
to
trying
say
to get
it.
our word.
Yes,
He's trying to tease. He's
it.
trying to make fun of us because we
I'm
say
not making
wolves
fun of
and you
you,
say
I just-
wolves or whatever, which I think that word
The
sounds
L
really
gets
weird.
dropped when we
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah, it's not, it's a,
What does
it's,
that mean? You were raised by wolves?
There's
well,
no
that's-
L, there's no V, it's just an F.
It's just it's like golf, no L, 2 F's, golf.
Okay,
But
I don't hear it, but I get it. Yeah.
no, but we were. You talk about not getting out. The only reason that I traveled was for initially wrestling meets.
You
My
were in
first-
special education.
I was not in special education. I was in
Clayton?
education. Allegedly, see,
Your
these are
mom
the things I
said-
don't know, but I have recall of kindergarten through elementary school. I think they said I was special, but we didn't. When I was in school, I don't think we had special classes. So they might have deemed me to be special, but I was in the general population.
I asked your parents what it was like to raise you as a child, and how did your teachers, what did they think about you?
Oh, they thought I was like
There's,
an angel.
they got called to the school a lot. There are a lot of special
there's-
meetings.
Hold on, there's circumstances that have to be applied to this. If you have a child that is high functioning,
Yeah.
it's very, very important to identify these things.
Because we weren't high functioning.
No, exactly. But you didn't. So you grew up in a town of 5,000 to 7,000 people,
Yeah.
right? And everybody kind of knows one another, especially in a farming community, right? If you're in the city, you don't know anybody. I grew up in a town of six. As I learned from ChatGPT, doing population analysis, looking at what the population of Rochester, Washington was in 1995, 1,667 people in my town.
I've been there.
I've chatted with people. They're like, I had that in my high school.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people there.
So,
But it's
like,
outside Seattle.
No,
Clay.
it's
Yeah.
It's almost the midpoint between Portland and Seattle. So I mean, it's literally the middle of nowhere. It used to be truly the middle of nowhere, but now the Chehalis tribe has done a good job of developing it and buying up all the land because they had the first casinos. It's amazing. But growing up in a really, really small town and being one who was a little bit unique, because I was wired a little bit differently apparently. I mean, my dad was the veterinarian, so when my parents moved to Rochester, they got 2 loans. One so they could open the clinic and get the double-wide mobile home that the clinic was in and a double-wide mobile home that we could live in, and they got another loan so I could eat. It literally started from 0. And
But the whole story is his mother came
my mom
From a
comes
very-
from money
yeah.
and shunned it.
and she walked away.
And she
Yeah.
said, no. And because very, very similar. My mom grew up in an alcoholic Catholic household. My dad grew up in an alcoholic Protestant household. His dad was a Navy submariner. And my mom's side of the family had family businesses still in place with Limbach Lumber. That's now still the only family-owned lumber yard left in Seattle, which is 105, 107 years old now. And so growing up, my dad was the veterinarian, so everybody knew who he was because everybody had animals, whether it was large animals or small animals. So I was in the clinic, and everybody knew who I was from the time I was a kid because I was around everyone. But then I was also an athlete, and I was also apparently vocal.
Shocking.
Who knew? But my dad was on the school board, so everybody kind of knew me. And then, like when we got into middle school,
How many people were in your class?
I graduated with 99, so we pretty much all the way through from first grade through high school, we probably had about 90 to 99 kids in our entire class.
But Chris, how many did we have? Mine was bigger than yours. My class
I
was.
think I graduated with like 150 or something.
I think mine was 185, 200, something like that.
Yeah.
Because people came from different, do you remember?
Yeah.
Because we're a
Yeah.
farming community.
Outside the community.
Well, obviously they did there too, because 99.
Oh, God, no. No, we had no one.
Well, 99 people per class is not super small. Or I guess to me, because I grew up.
Yeah,
What about you, Jocelyn?
200.
200, around like us.
Yeah. We're like half the size.
So yeah, maybe that about half the size.
So, and because both my parents went to Washington State, like one of my fun teachers, he was a dog, so he went to the University of Washington. One of my teachers would banter with me. And one day he put a kitty litter box under my desk for class. And the next day I put a bag of dog shit on his. Phone call. And my mom got a phone call in the clinic from the teacher, and it's like, this is what Clay did in class. And she's like, you started it. It's like, you did that, he responded. He's smart, he's going to retort. Don't poke the bear.
You didn't get in trouble for that?
No.
I would have been in a lot of trouble.
Well, in our house, it was
In
like,
in
whatever
our
happens at
house.
school, you can expect double.
So,
at
but
home.
Wait, we gotta stop this. I want you to hear this. This is our rule.
Yeah.
Whatever discipline, and I would like to say I was the only Rahm that didn't get spanked in school. Just so everyone knows.
you didn't get spanked in
my
school?
sister and brother got spanked at
Okay.
school. I did not.
And just to be clear, mine was because I didn't hand in my homework, which was complete. And 14 of us were in the hallway and each got one spanking.
And I think Mary Margaret, like, was talking to her friend and got spanked. We were spanked openly in school at that point. So I kind of prided myself when I was the only child that, because if you got spanked at school, the rule was when you got home,
You were
it was
getting
going to be
another one.
worse. Yeah, and another rule,
But it
which
didn't
they didn't
actually
always
happen.
follow.
As
I was going to
say,
say they didn't really follow this rule because they were protective of us. Like another rule was whatever the teacher says is right, but that we had teachers, like everything in life, that weren't kind, right? And they took up.
See, that's a little difference in philosophy, because I was kind of given the opportunity to question everything. Right? I
That
think part
hasn't
of it-
changed.
No, I agree, and I think part of that came from the scientific aspect of being in a clinic
Yeah.
and looking at scenarios and being able to ask questions and try to figure things out. But
Were you disciplined?
oh
Or
God, yes.
what was discipline?
I remember the last time my mom broke a wooden spoon on my ass, and that was the last time because I played so much soccer and I was so busy that I learned when I was going to get spanked that I could flex and it wouldn't hurt as much, and she actually cracked the spoon in half on my butt, and then that was the end of that.
Did you get disciplined, Jocelyn?
Not much. But I was one of those kids that knew how to toe the line.
Yeah.
I was very good at sort of reading and
Yeah.
and knowing how far to push, and you know, I mean, I definitely was naughty, but I just got away with it, you know.
So this is so interesting. You could do whatever. I was
We
worried
couldn't
about
all-
getting in
it's not a
trouble.
matter of
that
doing
that's bad, but
whatever.
I was always worried I was in trouble. I was scared to death of my father, that I would do something wrong.
Yeah, that was the big threat.
That was the
If
big
Mom
threat.
said, "I'm telling your dad." It's like, whoop.
And it's
that's
like,
that.
okay, that's
Or we're
game's
going to
over.
wait till your dad gets home. It was always just the worst night ever. I was like, no. Anyway, so you guys probably, now that I'm hearing this, it wasn't just where you were raised. You could question things and you could look at different things. So I was taught basically like it was traditional thought processes, like the news. Like I was not really, I don't know how you look at it, Chris, but I didn't really question politicians. Like I really liked like every president, right? For me, it was our president. And so I'm going to like whatever president, because I don't actually remember politics growing up.
I don't either. I was gonna say only until college. College is when
too.
I started
Me
going.
too.
It's like it went online and when I went to college.
Yeah. But I don't remember
weird.
No
them.
one ever talks politics. Like when we were growing up, especially, no one would ever talk about politics.
No, I don't remember ever hearing it.
Like never.
See, that's really unique, because my childhood, we always knew our politicians. Like, we were good friends with,
No, we knew, like Mr. Wright was down the street. He was a senator. Mr. Woolley.
yeah,
like
we knew them, but you didn't talk about it. if
you
that
didn't
makes
talk
sense.
about if they were Democrat or Republican. It wasn't in our town even. It really wasn't. It wasn't a discussion.
we did.
You did.
Oh, yeah.
Did you, Jocelyn?
We did, yeah, but I get the divisiveness didn't set in until
Do you think this divisiveness has always been here like this?
No, that's been a construct that's been developed over the last few generations, maybe two 2
Can't
to 3
realize that right
generations. I don't. I think, well, especially in Washington, because Washington is one of those tests where the majority of the state is very conservative because of farming and such, but the two population centers, being Seattle, being the big city, and then Olympia being the capital, are extremely liberal, right? But the population base in Seattle has kind of dictated, the voting, because the rest of the population isn't as dense across the rest of the state. And so being in Southwest Washington, which was really conservative, but not Republican. I think this is the important part of, if you looked at how I was raised, it's very libertarian in its in upbringing, but a lot of things, and this is kind of what I've seen from a population standpoint, being around people. If we took a poll of everybody in the country and just gave them a list of 100 questions, some subjects people are going to skew conservative, some subjects are going to skew liberal, and then you've got this blend that pretty much puts you somewhere in balance, middle, left and right, kind of depending upon subjects.
I'm really frustrated about this. I just want to talk about this. I'm very frustrated about like someone, and I'm not trying to bring up a controversial subject, but people will vote one way just because of one belief, like abortion, marijuana. Like, it's so interesting to me. It's not even about like the policy, like what we're going to do for humanity, but it's this one thought process.
And I think that's
I've never
the poll.
understood that.
That's the poll aspect of trying to trigger people. It's like, if you don't like this, you have to vote this way. So it's focusing on one thing because it then detracts from policy and it detracts from the bigger picture, and that's how you keep populations divided. It's like, if you want to kill babies, then you are this. It's like, well, I don't think anyone really believes in just killing babies, right? So, but it's never a topic, like if you look at abortion, that people can actually have a conversation about and go, actually, no, we all probably are in this area. Talking about it if it's way over there, or talking about if it's way over there, is not right. And that's kind of the environment that I was raised in, where, like at dinner, as I was getting a little older, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let me see. Now, we moved into the house when I was 15. It's like 15, 16, 17 years old. We would actually talk about that stuff at the dinner table.
Did we, Chris? I don't remember that. What did we talk about? We had dinner together.
We talked about like
our day.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about.
How was your day? What happened today?
School.
But I feel like both of our parents were educated. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were, but I don't remember ever really talking about controversial topics.
Did you guys watch
Jocelyn?
like Politically Incorrect or anything with Bill Maher?
We were too. That's too long. That wasn't out then.
You watched Politically Incorrect when it first came out on HBO?
I don't think we watched that one.
Oh man, so I think that's the difference is, one, we were in a really small town, so we didn't go out. We went to Sizzler maybe once or twice a month. That was our treat. We went up to Olympia and went to Sizzler, and
I
I
think we
could
went to Shoney's.
have all you can eat. And
Give a shout out to Shoney's.
but there was always some semblance of comedy mixed, and then mixed in with aspects of political satire or political information.
I don't see anyone in your family, just so you know, knowing them, that disagree on topics. I feel like in our family, where we were raised, they must have done something. I mean, they did a lot of things right, but we all have different opinions. I love that, because it's, and nothing against yours for having
correct?
the same opinion. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. My mother has very strong opinions.
We'll just say Mary Margaret is wrong because she's not here.
No, that's not true. Mary Margaret is probably the biggest peacemaker as it applies to that, right?
Yeah.
You and I have different political beliefs.
But
Chris and I
do
probably
we?
have more similar, and Jocelyn. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
We might have different perspectives, but we pretty much believe the same thing.
John's over there, and Joyce. They're like, I don't think so. What did you guys talk about at dinner? Did you talk about your political
Your
beliefs?
family's always talked politics that I know of.
Yeah, it was, again, like politics, I feel like it didn't come online. I very clearly remember being in the family room with the TV on when Clinton, I can't remember who Clinton was running against. Bill Clinton,
Wasn't it Bush?
the 90s.
Who was, who did,
92?
who did,
It was 92.
Didn't he run?
And I was
against
in
Bush?
middle school.
Yeah, I think that's right, because he didn't.
was it, who ran against Clinton? I can't believe I can't remember that. I actually voted for Clinton. I thought it was one of the Bushes, I'm not sure.
It sure wasn't Michael Dukakis.
We'd have to look that up. How bad is it that I don't remember that?
Yeah, it's too far back at this point.
I was
It's-
fascinated with Bill Clinton. I'm older than you.
Well,
I've met him.
Yeah,
And
it's
I've met
Bush,
her a couple of times. And I
Yeah.
really, who was it, Joy?
Bush.
Bush, that's what I
Senior.
thought. Yeah, Bush Senior.
okay.
I actually really identified with a lot of the things he did.
Well, he was Southern.
yeah.
I mean, and he really presented that way.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with my dad about him, and just the way that he presented was so different than anything that I had ever seen before. And so it was,
he was so charismatic.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
really the saxophone that did it for Joss. She was like,
yeah, it was a sax. But
yeah.
But yeah, we've always talked a lot about politics. You know, we've
Yeah.
always, that's been just something that,
The only thing I remember a little bit about that race, and I was really into that at that time.
Because you would have been like 25, 24?
No, I was
24?
younger than that.
Because 92 is when I turned 18.
Susan and I were in
17,
school
18.
together in
I
college.
was 17 when that happened.
Yeah, or maybe graduate school. I majored at first in spirituality, religion, and political science. I thought I would do, and then I switched over to criminal justice psychology, but I was really, at one point, because I really loved Kennedy, and I actually loved Reagan. I was really into like how they led the country, what they did. I felt like they made a lot of critical, so I was very interested in it, but I didn't end up pursuing it.